And welcome to another episode of Selling Hobson by the Pound. This week's the Music 24 offering includes some really interesting items. I'm sort of digging around in different places now. So, for example, here's an Odetta record, and this is a later. It's brand new, never been played. It's on Harlem Records out of Stockholm, and I think that's a compilation probably from the 90s, but it's a sealed, well, put it this way. Remember, a lot of things in Europe didn't get sealed, but it's brand new. Here is Delbert Mcclinton. This is a cutout copy. See the hole right there, but it is in perfect condition on Capitol. I think it's unplayed, to be honest, and it's called The Jealous Kind. Here's a sealed copy of Magic Sam Live, and this is on Delmark. Delmark is a really interesting label that I've bought many records over time on Delmark, and they are all really, really nice. So this is from 1981. I'm sure it's an all analog recording and sealed. Impossible to find that way. Here's one of my favorites. I had multiple copies of this, but this one happens to be sealed. It's Professor Longhair, The Last Mardi Gras, and this is on Atlantic Records, and it's a 2-record set, sealed. Beautiful, beautiful. I love that record. Here's one, the blues singers in collection Memphis Slim and Matthew Guitar Murphy, called Jamboree Jump. It's on Black and Blue Records, distributed by WEA. This is probably, let's see, it was recorded in March of 1963. That I remember, I've got another copy of this, and I listened to it, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a great record. Sealed. It's impossible to find sealed records. I mean, vintage sealed records anyway. Here's Memphis Slim and Matt Murphy live from Antone's. Remember, Antone's is that cool jazz blues club in Austin, Texas. This is 86, and it's on Antone's Records and Tapes. 2915 Guadalupe, Austin, Texas. And this is Ant 0003, so that was pretty early on in the Antone's record catalog. Here's Matt Guitar Murphy, Way Down South. This is also on Antone's record. This is Antone ANT 0013, so number 13 in that. So Matt Guitar Murphy. Sealed. All of these are sealed. Here is something for Lester. Lester Brown, Cedar Walton, and Elvin Jones. This is a contemporary record. See the contemporary. This is a brand new record. This was, remember I've told you all before about Alto High Fidelity in Germany. This was a reissue on Alto, so it was cut from the original master tapes and then pressed at Palace in Germany. So the pressings are exquisite, and this is a new copy. Remember, they didn't come sealed, but this has never been played. So here's a cool record you don't see very often anymore. This is an Acoustic Sounds or Analog Productions reissue of Super Bass with Ray Brown and John Clayton, Freddie Green, Jeff Clayton, and Jeff Hamilton. I guess this was on Capri Records originally. This is back in the day. This was reissued probably in the early 90s. I think this even predates Classic Records, if I recall. It was mastered by Doug Sachs and pressed at RTI. Limited edition. Oh, this is number 15, 0015. Unplayed. This, I'm sure, that I bought from Chad back in the day when I owned Hobson Ultimate Sound in New York, and I bought multiple copies of all his releases to sell and to give away to people at my hi-fi store in New York. And this has been with me all those years. Brand new, never played. Oh, here's a cool record. John Lee Hooker, Boom Boom, right? This is in that Silvertone series, right? That, and it's made in England, right? They were pressed in England. Again, this is a brand new copy, never been played, but it's not sealed. And Silvertone Records here in the United States re-signed John Lee Hooker late in his career, and among others did this record, Boom Boom, and it's fantastic. This looks like another one of those, this is a reissue, or maybe it's not, I can't remember. This is made in West Germany. It's Chet Baker, later in life. Still, he could still play. He couldn't sing as well, but he could play. Chet Baker, Harold Danko, and a few others. Chet Baker in Tokyo on paddle wheel. Look at the really cool label. Anyway, brand new, never been played. Here is the Dave Brubeck Quartet, and this was a reissue. It was originally on Concord, I think, and a limited edition, 3,000 copies, and there's a guarantee that your 180 gram superior quality pressing, half-speed mastered from original analog master tapes, comes to you directly from the manufacturer, which is Sound Service, a German company. So this was licensed by the German company and originally a Concord release, half-speed mastered, pressed on 180 gram vinyl, sealed. Oh, here's something you never see. This is going to bring big money. This is Charlie Bird and Trio and guest Bird at the Gate, and this is a Mobile Fidelity, an original Mobile Fidelity that still has the shrink wrap on it. I've had this in my collection for many years, and you never see these sealed. I think this might have been up before. This was Albert King, Wednesday Night in San Francisco, never before released. Let's see. It's from Stax Records, and they put it out probably in the 90s. Sealed copy. It's from the Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco. Fantastic. Here is a tribute to Robert Johnson. And I think is this a 2-record set? Side 1. No, it looks like just a single record, but it says historic live recording featuring Johnson contemporaries Henry Townsend, Robert Jr. Lockwood, Homeboy Edwards, and the late Johnny Shines. Roots of Rhythm and Blues, a tribute to Robert Johnson. Sealed. Oh, I dug in and got, this is a sealed copy of Mike Aldridge, Blue and Bluegrass. Wonderful record, originally on Tacoma. Remember that great Tacoma record I put out at Classic Records, Leo Kottke 6 and 12 string guitar. Tacoma had some really great recordings, and this is an example of same. Sealed. Mike Aldridge, Dobro. Yep, another sealed copy. This also on Tacoma, and yeah, this is fabulous. You never see these. Yet I must have dug heavily into the Mike Aldridge section. Here's Mike Aldridge, Treasures Untold. Special guest Tony Rice, John Sterling, and Doc Watson. Look at that. This is on Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill's another one of those cool labels that have really, really good recordings on them. If you find some Sugar Hill stuff, of course you won't find Mike Aldridge sealed on Sugar Hill except here. B.B. King, King of the Blues, 1989. Guests include Steve Cropper, Mick Fleetwood, Stevie Nicks, Bonnie Raitt, Tom Scott. I don't really need to say much more. This is MCA Records sealed copy. Don't miss it. Another copy of Little Man Tate, the soundtrack, on Varese Sarabande, sealed copy. Another copy of, remember I talked about this before, I think, Iron Man. And the big song on this record is I Eat Heavy Metal with John Lee Hooker singing. He also sings a song, a Pete Townsend song called Over the Top. And, the Who play on this record and so forth. It's a cutout, but it's sealed on Atlantic. Here's Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School. Remember, there's a bunch of great people playing on this record. Michael Bolton, Aretha Franklin is on this record, Oingo Boingo, and another sealed copy. Looks like these are some of the last. There are a few more of these you'll see coming in weeks to come. This is La Film Garde. We've talked about this many times. This is a reissue from Decca, 80s Decca reissue, new, unplayed. This is, to my ear, one of the great Decca recordings, period. Very enjoyable music as well. So, new copy, don't miss that. Rachmaninoff, The Bells, remember we've talked about this before. Alto High Fidelity reissue from original master tapes. Unplayed TAS HP Super Disc item. If you don't have this or you haven't heard it before, I've got a copy of this in my collection as well. And finally this week is, a really underrated violinist, Campoli, playing with Pierino Gamba and the London Symphony Orchestra, doing Paganini, Chrysler Concerto for Violin and Orchestra, and the Saint-Saëns Concerto No. 3 for Violin and Orchestra. This is the old London blueback. Remember, here's that beautiful blueback, and the deep groove London pressing that were actually pressed before the Decca SXLs, so that they could be released simultaneously. These had to be shipped over to the United States. And remember, they came out as London because there was a Decca record company in the United States. So Decca UK couldn't release it here under the name Decca, so they released it under the name of London Records, and they had offices here and so forth. So these London bluebacks are absolutely beautiful as well. And as always, good luck.